I've experienced a handful of embarrassing moments in my life. Getting scolded in front of the whole class, being the butt of the joke during a family reunion. Heck, even tripping in front of my own dog. But I've never experienced something as bad as this one. Most of those memories happened in front of friends and family, and no one in particular. Just people I'm generally close to. But this one? I can't even think about it without burying my face in my hands and just wishing the earth would swallow me whole. Hi, my name's Liam, a regular 24-year-old guy, and I'm here to share an experience that happened a few nights ago. To give some sort of context, I've been crushing on this girl for a long time now. Maybe a few years or so. I never really got the courage to ask her out because, well, I'm sort of a coward, and I'm very much insecure. I'd often undermine myself and my capabilities, often thinking that she'd never go out with someone like me. She was just perfect in every way. Beautiful brown eyes, long brown hair, and she just has the most adorable smile I've ever seen in my entire life. Her name's Charlotte, and she's a year younger than me. My crush for her developed when we were still back in college, and I met her in one of those parties that my friends have invited me to. We weren't on speaking terms back then. I just knew her, but she didn't know me back, which was fine by me. She was the life of the party. And me? I was just part of the crowd that got invited, so the party's a little less dull. I wasn't really expecting much. I was content with just watching her from afar and admiring her from there. Plus, my feelings back then was just a silly little crush, something that should fade in about a week. Or so I thought. "Hey Liam, come and meet my good friend Charlotte," I heard someone say. Only when I turned around did I realize that a friend of mine was a friend of hers too. And before I knew it, I was shaking her hand and introducing myself while she gave me that smile that just made my heart beat like crazy. Hi, my name's Liam. It's really nice to meet you." She smiled at me, and for the first time that night, I was happy.
"Nice to meet you, Liam. I'm Charlotte. Pleased to meet your acquaintance."
I know how cheesy this may all sound, but she's simply just perfect. I don't think I can describe her in any other way. Ever since then, we've kept in touch. Of course, we weren't friends at first, just people who had a mutual friend and talked whenever it was either convenient for the both of us, or if we needed something from each other like notes and all that stuff. Only during our last year in college did we become really close because we almost had the same classes together. So spending time with each other was inevitable. Like I said, I was content with whatever we had. I wasn't really planning to act on my feelings. An average guy like me had no chance with Charlotte, who was way out of my league. This kind of thinking went on for a while, until we graduated college. I was both relieved and sad that we were going to part our ways. Relieved, because I could finally try and forget about my feelings and hopefully move on from her. Sad, because, well, I really did like her a whole lot, and it was a shame I wouldn't get to see more of her. And I thought that was that. For a year, I didn't see her, considering I was stuck at home too, just trying to find a job so I wouldn't have to rely on my parents. My luck would pay off soon when I got a job interview for a company that would soon turn into a job offer. Of course I accepted it, and for the first time in months, I had completely forgotten about Charlotte and my feelings for her. But life is both cruel and kind, because when I arrived for my first day at the office, I saw her sitting in the booth right across from mine. It turns out that she just recently got hired there as well, and that she was glad that there was a familiar face around. All that talk about moving on and forgetting, immediately out the window. I liked her even more now, considering we were like two peas in a pod at this point. We stuck together because we saw it fitting. And again, we didn't know anyone else in the office but each other. We spent every break time hanging out. Lunchtime was spent together too. Heck, even overtime because I didn't want to let her leave the office alone and let her travel during the late hours of the night. At this point in time, I felt some sort of hope bubbling inside me that I tried not to indulge. But I couldn't help it. I spent my nights tossing and turning, thinking that maybe, just maybe, I actually had a chance with this girl. I tried to stop myself, believe me, but, You do a lot of stupid things when you're fueled by love and what ifs. So, I spent at least a week trying to come up with a perfect plan to ask her out. I knew it'd have to be outside the workplace, or else I'd be the reason we'll get fired. I figured I could invite her to eat dinner with me after work, in this restaurant that we always frequented. It wasn't a high-end restaurant, it was just average, I would say. But they hired performers from time to time, the performers just being the staff themselves, and Charlotte and I would often catch their performances because of how good they were. On weekends, when I'm too lazy to cook dinner for myself, I'd go to this place too. Bottom line is, I've created a reputation here. I would say some of the staff know me, and I know some of them as well. Their names were Victoria, Sam, and Daniela. They were all nice, and admittedly, they boosted my ego, coddling me and letting me know their disbelief that I was single and had no significant other. This prompted me to open up to them about Charlotte, and before I knew it, I was getting them on board with my plan. What's my plan exactly? It wasn't that grand. I simply asked the waitress who'd be performing that night, Daniela, if she could sing Charlotte's favorite song, and I lined up her favorite meals from the restaurant to be served to us throughout the night. I figured I'd just ask her once the song was playing to make it more of a romantic kind of thing. Asking Charlotte to accompany me to dinner wasn't at all hard. I managed to keep my cool on the way there, and we even managed to sing along to some tunes together. It was then, when we got there, did the nerves start to kick in. I stuttered a lot, and I think it didn't go unnoticed. I could tell she was starting to catch on, but that didn't stop me. I kept telling myself that it was simply now or never. I didn't know I was being too obvious, but I suppose it wasn't that hard to notice the shift in ambiance between the two of us. There was some sort of tension that suddenly dropped once she noticed that the atmosphere of the night had turned rather romantic than the usual friendly dinner dates we had before. It didn't help that I was tripping my own words either, that I kept stuttering with every word I tried to speak. Throughout the night she became more reserved, more quiet and distant. I should have noticed from the start, should have called the plan off as early as I could, but I was too deep in my own head just thinking about what the right question to ask her. It didn't take long before her favorite song started to play. I glanced at the performer, who gave me a smile and a wink as she sang, and I guess Charlotte just took that as her confirmation that this night was different from all the other nights we had. I turned to her, seeing her shake her head a little. Something I failed to notice because of how I desperately wanted the night to be perfect. Charlotte, I've been meaning to ask you this for a long time now. I paused.
Liam,
Do you want to go out with me? We spoke at the same time. The small smile on my lips was quick to falter when I noticed that she looked away from me. She awkwardly rubbed her arm before she sighed. By then, I was more than sure of my rejection. But some stupid part inside me was hoping still that maybe, just maybe, there's a chance that she'll say yes.
Liam, you're a really nice guy, but
Charlotte sighed again.
I really think this isn't going to work. I thought we were just good friends.
To say that I was devastated was an understatement. I was shattered. Broken. I couldn't even utter a reply. I just stared at her and nodded. I didn't really know what else to say.
I think I should go,
she quietly told me as she got up to leave. By the time that she left, the song had finished playing and I sat alone at the table with unfinished food and sympathetic stares from the staff that helped me prepare the events of the night. I couldn't really comprehend anything else, except the words she spoke and the fact that I got too brave to actually ask her out despite knowing from the very start that it would end like this. I felt a hand on my shoulder, and I looked up to see one of the waitresses who served our food that I got on board with my plan, Victoria. Across from where I sat, I saw Sam. The other waitresses who helped me out took a seat where Charlotte used to be. She gave me a small smile, as if to comfort me and say that they were there for me. Thank you, was all I could say. I thanked them for their presence and comfort, for the effort they put in that night despite it ending in vain. Daniela, the performer who sang Charlotte's favorite song, found herself at my table as well, and we sat together with them reassuring me that it wasn't my fault.
You're a really nice guy, Liam, honestly. We'd grab the chance to date you if we could.
Victoria spoke up, glancing at both Daniela and Sam for confirmation, to which they immediately agreed. I gave them a small smile. You guys are too kind. I replied.
It's true. How about we prove it right now?
Sam perked up, an idea popping into her head. She turned to me.
How about we ditch this place and get some drinks? We know just the place. We can consider it as a date, too. We don't mind,
Daniela added, a reassuring smile on her lips that she directed at me. At first, I really thought that they were just being nice to me out of pity. But after agreeing to get drinks with them that night, I realized that they were being genuine, and was told that they'd always found me charming and attractive, and that if I'd given one of them a chance, maybe I could actually date one of them. It helped that I was genuine with how I felt towards Charlotte too, and as much as they wanted me to be happy, they felt that she didn't deserve my efforts. Now, don't get me wrong, I was flattered. More than that, actually. I didn't think that I'd be the type of person people would get a crush on. But it had been a rough, disastrous night. I thanked them for their honesty and kindness, but I also told them that they didn't deserve to be some kind of rebound. Especially not when I've just been dumped. They understood, and they told me that it's that kind of attitude that really draws them to me. My genuineness and the pureness of my intention. I just smiled at them, and offered to pay for the next round of drinks as appreciation. I may have been rejected that night, but I also got drunk enough to do fun, stupid things with these girls that appreciated my company. We did a bunch of things. Tattoos, piercings, the kind of things that get you regretting the next day, but you can't be mad at it because at that same time, it's those memories that stay with you. And I'm just glad I took them up on their offer. Or else, I would have just wallowed in self-pity and insecurity after getting dumped in the boring confinements of my apartment. I didn't think it was possible. But they actually helped me forget all about Charlotte. Even just for a little while.